Poštovanje, dragi moji, dobrodošli u emisiju. Ja danas imam važnog gosta. Svi znate da se state election i državna elekcija već u augustu mjesecu počinju polako. Moj današnji gost je lieutenant guverner Peter Kinder, koji se takmiči za guvernera države Missouri. Porazgovarat ćemo sa njim i čuti šta su njegovi stavovi i šta je to što možda nam ponudi u ovogodišnjem izboru. Mr. Kinder, welcome. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you. My pleasure.
I think this is a really nice chance to explain to our viewers who are you. Many of people probably know you really good because you are very well known in the political community and in community around, and you are serving actually state so many years. You are in many different organizations, but we're going to hear from you today. So please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you.
My family has been living in Missouri for many generations, and we're proud Missourians, and I love this state very much. I was educated here in Missouri and went to law school in Texas and came back, and I had a career in the private sector with two different companies. First, I was in the hotel building industry with Drury Inn Hotels throughout the Midwest, based here in St. Louis.
Okay.
And I then went into the newspaper publishing industry. And in 1992, I ran for the state senate, and I was elected. I served 3 terms, or 12 years in the state senate. I went from there. In 2004, I was elected lieutenant governor of the office I currently hold.
Okay. Well, the question probably what our listeners, our viewers are really like to know is why you're running for the governor. You have experience, I know that, but there's so many different problems. But you tell us your views. Why you're running for the governor, and what is it actually, everything around what you can tell us?
Well, in this state that I love so much, and where we welcome legal immigrants, such as those who've enriched our community in the Bosnian community here in St. Louis, I'm concerned that our state is falling behind. We're falling behind other faster growing states. We've got to have a governor who will work with local law enforcement officials and mayors to guarantee safety and a reduction in crime on our streets. We can't have a healthy economy with growing businesses and safe families if our streets are not safe. Law and order is a first order concern of mine, and to stand with our peace officers, by their side and behind them, backing them up. Because nothing good can happen when we let a Ferguson happen in our community, or when we have hate-inspired attacks on immigrants who have moved here legally and are peaceably going about their business and their lives. And so I'm all about restoring law and order and safe streets to the St. Louis region and to the entire state, and to getting our economy growing again so that we have good paying jobs, so that your people in the Bosnian community who started so many small businesses and worked so hard can hire more of their neighbors, can hire more of their families, and let's grow this economy. I have a program to do that.
Governor, very, if not the most important question for immigrants especially is education. We all know the way how the system works, how the education works, but can you tell us about that a little bit?
Yes.
Quality education.
2 concerns I have. We must have and we must maintain, and in some cases we must achieve, high standards. High standards that expect a lot of students, like your son, who's doing so well in his early years in high school and wants to be a medical doctor. And I have no doubt that he's on the right path to earn that distinction as hard as he's working. We want more students to have that opportunity, and that means strong schools with high standards where the teachers are respected, where discipline is not a problem in the classroom, because if there isn't discipline in the classroom, sound learning cannot occur. The other thing I want to do is I want there to be more choices for parents. I don't think a one-size-fits-all public school system designed 150 years ago is going to be cutting it in the 21st century. So I want there to be all kinds of niche schools, that meet the needs of parents in the neighborhoods where they live.
Thank you. You mentioned the small businesses, and we all know the Bosnians, they do have a lot of small businesses. Can you please tell us a little bit about that?
Well, the Bosnian immigrants have done so much to stabilize communities that were, in many cases, on the decline before these good people arrived. And they arrived legally, and they went through, in most cases, naturalization to become American citizens. We want to smooth the path for small businesses to be formed. I know there are a lot of barriers here in the city of St. Louis. I would come in here and work with the mayor and the alderman to try to make it easier to start a small business, easier to get that necessary city license or whatever stands in the way of opening the doors of a small business. And then when they're open and hiring their neighbors and perhaps other family members and friends, I want small businesses to be able to keep more of their earnings. So our income tax is too high in Missouri. It's 6%. We are higher even than the neighboring state of Illinois, which is known as a high tax state. Our income tax is substantially higher than Illinois'. So I would move in phases over my term in office to remove, to cut those income taxes so that small businesses and families are able to keep more of their earned income to invest in that business, grow it, and hire more Missourians.
I was talking to my friends back in the old country, and they live all around the world, and they all of those guys, they know us because of the Ferguson. And now a couple of days ago, what happened in this state also, the accident, the last one, Baton Rouge, we believe. Can you tell us about it? What you would do differently?
Yeah.
Than...
Well, now the case that's just about a little over 24 hours old in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, is to be sharply distinguished from what happened in Ferguson. And I'm going to express no opinion on Baton Rouge because it appears to be a very, very different set of facts. As to, and the story's still coming out, as to Ferguson, which in a couple months or next month will be 2 years old. This was a devastating blow to the St. Louis region, to the reputation of the region, and to the reputation of the state of Missouri. It was, in my view, largely preventable. If we had had a governor who was ready to go in there on the first full day that trouble started, or no later than the second full day, to commit the kind of resources that we need to preserve order, the National Guard as needed, working with state and local police officials, we could have shut that down as to the violent rioting that went on. And it's a great tragedy that Governor Nixon did not exert that kind of strong leadership. He was not talking to the mayors. The mayors up there of Delwood and Ferguson are personal friends of mine. I have those relationships, just like I seek to develop the same relationships in the Bosnian immigrant community here. And I would be a hands-on governor who shows up, says, what do you need? And let's get it in there to prevent the kind of looting, the firebombs, the smashed windows, and the lost livelihoods when those businesses were shut down for a year and more. Many of those business owners have become personal friends of mine, and they attended my announcement for office, and many of them are themselves minorities. They attended my announcement for office a year ago this month because they found someone who would stand up for the small business person and say, enough is enough. We need to maintain law and order on the streets so that merchants can open their doors and people can shop there peaceably going about their lives.
Governor, I do have a question for you, and this is, I believe, extremely important for the big part of the Bosnians. I'm assuming about at least 80% of Bosnians in St. Louis are Muslim faith. The situation around the world and everything what's going on is extremely, how I want to say this, it's important for us to make sure to hear what you think about these issues. You know, I mean, Muslim people entering the United States and situation about everything. You know, since election comes right now,
yes,
and
sir.
we do hear so many different opinions. So I'd like to hear your opinion.
I am not one who signs on to any proposal that any religious group, Muslims or otherwise, should be subject to a blanket ban from immigration. That is not, in my view, of America. America, a founding principle of America, in fact, one that predates the founding, is freedom of religion for all faiths. Now, Americans do expect that immigrants to our shores will will learn English and over time, and adhere to what we call the American Creed, which is freedom, justice,
Absolutely.
tolerance for other faiths, and people who peaceably go about their lives and worship the God that they want to worship. As long as people are willing to sign on to that general American creed, we welcome all legal immigration. And I am not one who signs on to this idea that there should be a ban or religious test for immigration.
Thanks God for that. Well, thank you. This is a really important question, Governor, and I thank you for this. The news is coming so quickly, and I do have a computer in the studio that upgrades every 60 seconds. What they tell us is there's 4 candidates for the same position. How you are different from the other people running for the same position?
Yes, sir. That's a good question. First of all, my family has been 8 generations in Missouri since before Missouri was a state, so for more than 200 years. I am the only Republican member of my party in elected statewide office. There are 6 elected statewide officials. I'm the only one of the Republican Party. I have been the survivor and the only Republican winner in the last 2 presidential cycles, 2008 and 2012. And I think I've been able to do that because I go everywhere in our state and I ask for the vote. I appeal to the voters on the same basis in the Bosnian community that I do in the minority communities in North St. Louis County or the city or out in rural Missouri and southwest part of our state. I make an honest appeal. I show up. I show up in years that are not just even numbered, not just election years, but also in non-election years. I come to community festivals. I've had the honor of visiting the mosque here in the south part of the city at Friday prayers, one Friday last winter. I met the imam and had the honor of being introduced by him. So I think I've been on the ground, very much in the community, trying to learn, trying to listen, and trying to observe really how Bosnian immigrants have enriched our community.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I think
Thank you
these
so much.
answer lots of questions what people would know. August is coming soon, the end of the year, elections coming. So thank you very much for this. This should help people.
Yes, sir.
To vote for right person.
The first election is the August 2nd
Yes, exactly.
primary. And to vote for me, you must take a Republican ballot. And then the main election, the November election, is the general election November 8th.
Exactly. Čuli ste? Dakle, glasajte, ja vas molim, 2. august i ponovo u novembru mjesecu, dakle, evo čuli ste, ja vam neću sugerisati za koga da glasate, ali glasajte za onoga za koga mislite da najbolje treba da glasate. Svi živimo u ovoj zemlji, Amerika je zemlja za sve. Hvala vam lijepa, uživajte. Governor, thank you very much.
Thank you.